With the NHL trade deadline quickly approaching, do the Kings have any options? Do they? Russell Westbrook has surgery on his broken left hand, and the Dodgers make one of those annoying minor league trades that we have to mention, even though it's not going to make a difference. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is March 5th, 2024. We have added multiple subscribers to the Angeleno Familia yesterday. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. I'll do my best to keep you informed. Despite not being 100%, guys, my nose is disgusting. It's literally leaking all over the place like the sprinklers that we used to kick over and run through when we were kids. But do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Look forward to hearing from you. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Anthony Davis scores 24 points and LeBron James added 19. The Lakers knock off Oklahoma City 116-106. The Lakers are now saying they don't care what seed they get in the playoffs. Maybe they're being truthful about that. I'm going to believe that they probably are. I think the thing that they care about the most is trying to figure out how to beat Denver. They haven't done that in, quite a while. Meanwhile, Paul George scored 29 points, but Milwaukee beat the Clippers 113-106. Meanwhile, today, Vancouver is at the Kings 7:30 tonight. Now, we'll get to the news. Rob Blake built the Kings to win. I think we can all agree about that. He was there for the complete teardown of the team when they got a little too old, that they rebuilt it, had this great farm system coming up, and then eventually you could say that Blake kicked open that so-called championship run window, arguably last year when they traded for Kevin Fiala from Minnesota. At this moment, though, the Kings, they do have a 7-point lead over the first team outside of the playoffs, so their position is relatively secure. And yet, I don't know anybody who is confident that this team will advance out of the first round. Just like they couldn't advance out of the first round last year, just like they couldn't advance out of the first round the year before that. Even worse, we were talking last week about injuries to important wingers, Victor Arvidsson, Adrian Kempe, Carl Grundstrom even counts in that sense. What about the injury to defenseman Mikey Anderson, the guy who's on the top pairing with Drew Doughty? So now that the trade deadline is Friday, what the hell do you do? It does look like the Kings have myriad problems to try to resolve. Now, a Kings blog called Mayor's Manor claims that their sources in the organization say the Kings will not be making a big splash. This is not going to go over well on the Twitter sphere. You know, there's a lot of people on social media who are saying, please do whatever it takes to dump Pierre-Lic Dubois. Now, that is not going to happen. I don't have sources within the Kings organization. I can tell you that's not going to happen. Because at this point, he has no trade value. None. He's in a career worst season and has an 8-year, $68 million deal. Who the hell's going to trade for that? Who? That same contract, by the way, is what has pressed the Kings so far against the salary cap. You couldn't even use that cap space to go out and buy a used car right now. There are two middle ground options, frankly. One is to finally give winger Arthur Kaliev, a prospect in Ontario, a shot at regular playing time. He fell out of favor with fired coach Todd McClellan. Another option that has been making the rounds is trading defenseman Matt Roy and thereby giving more minutes to Brant Clark. But Matt Roy doesn't suck. You need traditional stay-at-home defensemen on your team, right? You got to have somebody helping out the goalie. The name of the job is defenseman, for Pete's sakes. But again, Matt Roy, he's not going to land you a quality starting goalie. He's not going to land you a top 6 forward. I'm not even sure a deal is necessary to replace the injured players. From what I've read, all 4 of them could be back in the middle of this month. So Basically, Kings fans are just going to have to gut it out. I've been a Kings fan all my life. I've had to gut things out. It's not the end of the world. The Kings also signed goalie Aaron Dell to a 2-way contract, which basically translates to the Ontario Reign have a new goalie. It's an insurance policy in case somebody at the big club gets injured. Big whoop. And yes, guys, I am looped out on cold meds. Russell Westbrook underwent surgery to his broken left hand Monday, according to ESPN. Now, this matters because the original timeline after he broke his left hand suggested that Westbrook would be out until, say, the end of March. Now the Clippers say that there is no timeline. They're just hoping to have him back in time for the playoffs, which open in April. So that's a little bit of a change, I would have to say. Now, this is not a death blow to the Clippers. Let's not overplay this. Obviously, James Harden took the guy's gig. He's the starting point guard. But Westbrook is more valuable to the Clippers than just saying, look at us, we're so deep, we have former MVPs on our bench. What Westbrook excels at is he absolutely changed the pace. Westbrook is the opposite of Harden. Harden is very deliberate. Harden comes up, dribble for about, 18 seconds and then looks for an option. Westbrook runs. He wants his players on the B team to run. Absolutely changes the pace. Makes the Clippers more dynamic. We haven't had enough of a sample of Bones Highland on the floor to know what the Clippers would do with him on the court. So we'll have to see what happens with that over the next month. Now, Ivica Zubac did return to play on Sunday. Really not that effective. Just 2 points and 2 rebounds in 19 minutes coming back from his injury. At least he's enough of a man not to flop. And speaking of flopping, reserve center Daniel Theis was fined for flopping during Sunday's victory in Minneapolis. He got fined a whopping total of $2,000. The Dodgers acquired infielder Andre Lipsis from Detroit. The guy's barely had a latte in the major leagues, something like 25 games. But we were talking about the way the Dodgers make these weird little deals yesterday. There's no way you would expect him to take over for Gavin Lux. But what the Dodgers like to do is they will trade for people to stock up their minor league system with guys who have just had a cup of coffee or two in the majors. And then they keep flipping the ones who did get to the majors with them for players who are possibly going to make it as well. And as a result, the Dodgers, at this point, not having a ton of elite prospects, are still considered one of the elite farm systems in Major League Baseball. It's just annoying, these weird little trades that they make. You know it's not going to be a big deal for Gavin Lux, but about 3 or 4 years from now, this guy's going to be traded for somebody who is a big deal. And then everybody's going to say, man, Andrew Friedman's just a miracle worker. I will say that the Dodgers minor leagues are a little weak in middle infield prospects, so there's that. To make room for Lipsis, LA did the expected. They placed Clayton Kershaw on the 60-day injured list. Rave reviews keep pouring in for reliever Blake Trinan. General manager Brandon Gomes told the LA Times, quote, he's been really sharp. The movement is ungodly. He really hasn't missed a beat as far as putting the entire arsenal together and being able to attack the zone, unquote. It has been years, literally years, since we've been able to say that about the guy. He was one of the game's best relievers just a few years ago, but after shoulder surgery, the guy's been on the shelf for damn near 2.5 years. And we've always kind of heard about him on the periphery. Oh, Blake Trinan's going to make a comeback. And we're like, when the hell is that going to happen? Well, apparently it's going to be this year, and it has potential to be big. The Dodgers also made their first cuts of spring training. They sent 12 players to the minor league camp. There weren't any surprises. Andy Pages was destroying spring pitching, though. He had an average of 400. And pitching prospect Nick Frasso underwent hip surgery over the weekend. He isn't expected to pitch until the Arizona Fall League at the earliest, so he's toast. He's He's not pitching for LA this year. 24/7 Sports reports UCLA football will hire Robert Thomas as a linebackers coach. Thomas was a teammate of new head coach Deshaun Foster. Thomas played at UCLA through 2001, played in the NFL for 8 years, so he wasn't a scrub. In terms of coaching, though, this is his first gig above high school. So there's going to be a bit of a leap there. Now, granted, the high schools that he coached at included Mater Dei and Mission Viejo. So you're talking the creme de la creme, but it's still a bit of a leap. Also, not everyone who coached with Foster when he was an assistant at UCLA is going to survive to work for the new regime. There are reports that offensive line coach Tim Drevno is out. And I got to tell you, that's somewhat of a curious move. Drevno has been there since 2019. He has gotten 3 linemen to the NFL, which is not too shabby. Not at all. Maybe they're having a different blocking scheme installed for the upcoming year. USC, meanwhile, has hired Anthony Jones Jr. away from Texas A&M to serve as running backs coach. He will be replacing Keel McDonald, who left to coach running backs with the Chargers. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. If you are a Kings fan, what exactly do you do during the trade deadline? What do you think the Clippers do with Russell Westbrook on the sideline for at least a month, possibly much longer? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully a little less stoned. Faithful Angelenos is a Quién Portel Queso production. Take care.